town of Ravens Hollow was known for its eerie silence. Surrounded by dense forests and abandoned coal mines, it was a place forgotten by time. The only thing that still stood as a reminder of the past was the old railway station, a place that no one dared visit after dark. Legend spoke of the phantom train, a cursed locomotive that appeared only on foggy nights. It had been missing for over a century, yet some claimed to hear its whistle echoing through the hills. The few who had dared wait at the old station at midnight either disappeared or were found wandering miles away, with no memory of how they got there. Nathan Carter, a well-known journalist who specialized in debunking paranormal stories, had always dismissed these urban legends. Ghost trains? He scoffed. People just want a story to tell. But when an anonymous source emailed him a grainy photo of a train emerging from the fog, his curiosity got the better of him. The attached message chilled him to the core. My grandfather was the last engineer of the 1213 train before it vanished. He always said, "Never board a train that whistles at midnight." A week later, he was found dead on the tracks. No train had passed for decades. Determined to uncover the truth, Nathan packed his camera, recorder, and flashlight and set off for the station, unaware that his journey would lead him to something beyond human understanding. Chapter 1. The Whispering Station. Nathan arrived at Ravens Hollow Station at 11:45 p.m. The platform was covered in vines, the wooden benches rotting with time. An old clock on the wall was frozen at 12:13, the exact time the phantom train was said to appear. As he walked along the platform, a sudden chill swept through the air. His breath became visible, despite it being a warm night. That's when he heard it, the whispers, faint at first, like a distant conversation, then growing clearer, voices, speaking in hushed, frantic tones. Nathan stopped, his flashlight trembling in his hand. "Hello?" He called out, and no answer. But then, the whispers stopped, and in the silence, a long, mournful train whistle echoed through the hills. Chapter 2. The train that shouldn't exist. Nathan turned toward the tracks. At first, there was nothing but fog. But then, through the mist, he saw it. A massive black locomotive emerged, its headlight glowing like an unholy eye. Steam hissed from its rusted pipes, and the number 1912 was faintly visible on its side. The train shouldn't exist. It had derailed and vanished over a century ago. His camera trembled as he snapped a picture. The train let out another whistle, sending a shiver down his spine. The doors creaked open, revealing a dark interior. A tall conductor stood at the entrance, his uniform pristine but his face obscured by shadows. "All aboard!" He rasped at Nathan's instincts screamed for him to run. But his journalist curiosity overpowered his fear. With hesitant steps, he stepped onto the train. Chapter 3. The passengers who never left inside. The train was dimly lit. The velvet seats were covered in dust, yet the air smelled strangely fresh, like it had just been cleaned. Nathan walked down the aisle, his heart pounding. The passengers sat eerily still. Their clothes were from different eras, some from the 1920s, others from the 1950s. Some looked like they had stepped out of a black and white photograph. Then, as he passed a woman in a Victorian gown, she turned her head abruptly. Her hollow eyes locked onto him, her lips moving silently. "You shouldn't be here." Nathan stumbled back. The train suddenly lurched forward, and the doors slammed shut. The journey had begun. Chapter 4. The ghostly conductor. Nathan tried to pry the doors open, but they wouldn't budge. The train picked up speed, yet the landscape outside remained the same, darkness stretching endlessly beyond the windows. "Where is this train going?" he muttered. "To where it always goes." Nathan spun around. The conductor stood behind him, his uniform immaculate, but wrong. His flesh flickered, revealing glimpses of rotting skin and hollow sockets where his eyes should have been. "You wanted the truth," the conductor said, his voice echoing strangely. "Now you'll know what happened to the 1213 train." The train plunged into darkness. Chapter 5. The screaming tunnel. A horrific wail filled the train as it entered a long, endless tunnel. Nathan covered his ears as the passengers began to change. Their faces twisted, their bodies contorting as if trying to escape their seats. They screamed, their voices overlapping in a maddening chorus of tormented souls. Then, he heard his own name whispered from the shadows. "Nathan, you shouldn't have come." The tunnel seemed endless, but suddenly, a light appeared ahead. The train emerged into a twisted version of Ravens Hollow, a place where time had stopped. The station outside was crumbling, and ghostly figures wandered the platform. "This is where we got off," the conductor whispered. "This is where you will stay." Chapter 6. The train's true destination. Nathan's breathing quickened. He wasn't supposed to be here. He needed to get off the train. But how? As the train slowed, figures emerged from the fog outside, shadowy beings, reaching for him with elongated fingers. "No!" Nathan screamed, turning to run toward the engine room. The conductor appeared ahead of him, his grin inhuman. "You boarded the train, Nathan. You can't leave now." Nathan grabbed a rusted emergency brake and yanked it with all his strength. The train shuddered violently, its wheels screaming against the tracks. A deafening boom filled the air. Everything went white. Chapter 7. The awakening Nathan woke up on the railway tracks. His head throbbed, his clothes were covered in soot. The station was silent. The phantom train was gone. Had it all been a dream? He reached into his pocket and pulled out his camera. The last picture was of the train, emerging from the fog. Then he saw something that made his blood run cold. That on his wrist, where the conductor had grabbed him, was a permanent burn mark, shaped like the number 1912 at Chapter 8. The last ticket. Daniel Mercer was a skeptic, a journalist chasing urban legends. He laughed at ghost stories, until he found the ticket that it was tucked inside an old book at a flea market, yellowed with age. Blackwood Express, one way, departs midnight, no date, no return. Just those words and a symbol. A grinning conductor's face, his eyes hollow. That night, drunk on curiosity, Daniel drove to the abandoned station. The air was thick, the silence oppressive. Then, a train roared out of the darkness, its blackened metal covered in rust, and something else, dark stains, like old blood. The doors slid open and a voice whispered, "All aboard." Chapter 9. The passengers inside. The train was impossibly old. Velvet seats moth-eaten, windows grimy. And yet, it was full. A woman in a tattered wedding dress, weeping silently, a soldier missing half his face, a child, grinning too wide, his eyes black as coal. Daniel's heart pounded. This isn't real. This can't be real. Then the conductor appeared. Tall, skeletal, his uniform rotting. His smile stretched ear to ear. "Tickets, please." Daniel handed his over. The conductor's grin widened. The last seat. The doors locked. The train lurched forward, and the screaming began. Chapter 10. The tunnels of madness outside the windows. The world melted. The trees twisted into screaming faces. The tunnels were endless, swallowing the train whole. Then the lights flickered. When they returned, the passengers were closer. The weeping bride was now beside Daniel, her tears black. "You shouldn't have come," she moaned. The child giggled. "He's hungry." "Who's hungry?" Daniel demanded. The train shook violently. The conductor's voice boomed. "The engine." Chapter 11. The engine of souls at the front of the train. A monstrous furnace pulsed like a heart. Inside, shadows writhed. Faces pressed against the metal. Screaming, the conductor grabbed Daniel. "It needs to feed." The passengers shrieked as the furnace door creaked open. A wave of unbearable heat and agony blasted out. Daniel fought, but the train was alive. The seats became hands, dragging him forward. The last thing he saw was the conductor's smile. "Welcome to eternity." Then, darkness. Epilogue. The next passenger. Months later, another curious soul found a ticket at a flea market. Blackwood Express, one way, departs midnight, and as the clock struck 12, the tracks hummed. A whistle blew, and the phantom train returned. Final note for your video. This story is designed to be expanded with eerie visuals, sound effects, train screeches, whispers, screams, and slow-building dread. You can stretch scenes, add more passengers, or even include found footage segments of Daniel's doomed investigation. Want it even longer? I can add backstory of the train's cursed origins, a ghostly prison, a demon's creation, more victims, a detective investigating disappearances, a historian uncovering the train's past, a twist ending, someone escapes, but brings the curse home. Let me know how you'd like to adapt it. Ghost locomotive.